What I define as a personal episode is an episode that you have a personal connection to, one that speaks to you on some level. Maybe you went through an event similar to that of the characters in an episode, maybe you were struggling with something that the episode gave you a good answer for, or maybe the episode called you out on the way you've been acting.
You know, that had me thinking. Do I have any episodes that resonate with me? I mean, I have my favorites and least favorites for sure, but what about the episodes that I relate to or hit me hard on a personal level? Well, looking at every single episode that's currently out, there weren't that many episodes I resonated with. However, I did manage to find 10 that I relate to. So, as a holdover for the hiatus before I head to the final BronyCon, here are the 10 episodes of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic that I have a personal connection with.
This is the most basic of jokes.
You're the most basic of jokes.
Good one, Bob!
We were all at Sweet Apple Acres, and I ended up turning the trees into the most... Oh, who am I kidding? I simply can't do it justice. You really had to be there.
Okay, I'm cheating with number 10 on this list by putting 2 episodes on here. However, they both adopt similar themes that I relate to. The fear of missing out and not being included is a sensitive topic for me. I identify as being extroverted. I always want to be included or considered for bigger things. Whether it's a project on YouTube or just hanging out with my friends, I welcome the opportunity to be around people. But when I get passed over for someone else or I'm not even invited to something, I get jealous. I feel like I'm excluded from my circle of friends, whether they're online or from my hometown. It sucks. It feels like I'm being pushed away and I want to be there. Even if I don't feel like hanging out one night, I don't want it to come across like I'm unreliable. While I know a lot of people downright hate What About Discord, Twilight's jealousy reflected my own every time I'm not included. Sometimes Discord's anger and make new friends but keep Discord mirrors my anger when someone else is chosen over me. The green monster comes in many forms. The 2 Discord episodes from Season 5 are mine.
What the? Wow! I wasn't kidding about the duplicates! Except now there's triplicates and quadruplicates!
You ever wish you could be in 2 places at once? You ever feel like there's not enough time in the day to do everything you want to do? You ever wish you could duplicate yourself in a mirror pool to the point where it gets out of hand and you need to watch paint dry to prove you're the real you? Okay, maybe not that last part. However, scheduling things out and knowing you can't do everything at once was an issue for me. Thanks to this episode, and learning to adult, I have a better grasp on how to schedule my time. For the most part. I'll talk about that later.
I had an epiphany after that flower pot. Doing things didn't work. Not doing things didn't work. And I couldn't predict the future either, so I only had one other choice. Monitor everything.
The future is unpredictable. At a moment's notice, everything can go wrong unless you prepare for it. Sometimes you overprepare and you fall on the brink of paranoia. Other times you don't care about the consequences because you're too busy living in the present, and the results of your inaction will hit you like a Mack truck. I am of those 2 extremes. I'm either worrying too much about the future and what it holds, or not thinking about it enough. I hope to achieve that perfect balance that Pinkie Pie does in this episode.
You're preserving the whole town? That's crazy.
That's exactly what I told him. I said, Firelight, you're crazy.
Mom?
Our village needs the same thing you do, Sunburst. A clear plan for the future.
So this might seem a little weird, but I thoroughly enjoyed the parent map. It was funny, the moral was great, and the 2 ponies chosen to go for the friendship quest were perfect for closure. As for how it relates to me, Stellar Flare is my mom. No, seriously, Stellar Flare acts just like how my mom acts in trying to get me to better myself. Needlessly over-planning, creating lists, telling me to contact people so I can be successful are all quirks of hers. Yes, it does get annoying, and she can be incessant at times, but she only does it because she wants the best for me. And I can't thank her enough for that.
Clock is ticking, Twilight. Clock is ticking.
Deadlines! I suck at keeping to them. Hell, in high school and college, I waited until the last minute to get assignments done. Even better, the time I remembered I only had a few days left to get my car inspected, and every garage was practically booked. That's always fun / panic-inducing. Moral of the story, make deadlines for yourself and stick to them. Otherwise, you go Twilight Psycho trying to get everything done on time.
And Discord would have a special kind of tea, like a ginseng that could really sing.
I would. I would.
Okay, what else is there to say about this episode in regards to relatability? Well, you can always check out my thoughts on it from my best and worst list of Season 7, when I talked about how my girlfriend and I's personalities rubbed off on each other. But what about my other friends? I'm actually curious. For those who are actually close to me, given the episode's messages and themes, how have I resonated with you? Has your behavior changed when I'm around? Are there any traits of mine that you admire? Do I inspire you, or do you wish to have a certain quirk of mine? I really want to know. Put your thoughts in the comments below with the hashtag #VoiceDiscordant. I really want to see how much of an effect I leave on people, whether we're acquaintances or really good friends.
Glad I found you because I have a confession to make. I know it's hard to imagine, but I'm really not all that sporty.
No.
This is the most recent episode that resonates with me a lot. The step-parent episode. To quickly summarize, if you haven't watched the Common Ground review with Thespio, I was in a similar situation to Windsprint, minus the dead parent. My mother, after she divorced my dad, started dating again and eventually met my stepdad. It was incredibly awkward, especially since I was the last one in my immediate family to actually meet him. But I eventually got to know him more, finding out he's also a massive nerd like myself, and we've enjoyed each other's company ever since. A sincere thanks to Common Ground to remind me of what I went through to love being around my stepdad.
This convention will be fun, but it's nothing to get too excited about. So excited!
I love this episode so much! I love the adventure, I love the in-jokes, I love the characters, but more importantly, I love the atmosphere. Rainbow Dash's face entering her first fan convention mirrored mine when I attended Big Apple PonyCon in 2013. I got to meet the show and comic staff and interacted with the fans of the show. We got into meaningless debates with each other, talked about our favorite and least favorite episodes, and even speculated what was going to happen in Season 4. The first time experience I had at that convention was amazing, almost on par with Rainbow's experience, minus the kidnapping part.
I hate to admit it to myself, and would really hate to admit it to my friends, but I love this story! I love reading! I'm an egghead!
So, when I first discovered the show, I was in college, and I became a fan before Season 2 started. However, I graduated early and had a bit of a problem. No one else knew, especially my parents, that I watched a show aimed at a younger demographic. So, there were actual points in time where I was watching an episode at 10 a.m., and I ended up missing the last 5 minutes of an episode because I didn't want my parents to know I watched it. I emulated Rainbow Dash trying to hide my love of this show for young girls. Now, most of my friends and family know I'm a fan and are okay with me liking it.
what you call this, but it sure isn't news. We just thought... Get something else on my desk by the end of the day, and it better be juicy!
Okay, now it's time to finally explain why this episode is so personal for me. There are many people who can't stand this episode. They say it's way too mean-spirited and the Cutie Mark Crusaders got off scot-free. So why do I hold this episode in such high regard? Because when I was the Cutie Mark Crusaders age, I was a victim of gossip and the spread of misinformation. When I was in the 5th grade, there was a dance coming up as a celebration for our graduation. During recess, one of my friends from kindergarten, who was a girl, asked if I wanted to, quote, go to the dance with her. Being the nice guy I was, I said, what the heck? I'd like to go to the dance with her. A group of other girls overheard our conversation, and immediately I went into defense mode. Any person that I came across who misheard the information, I had to explain we were going as friends. No romance was involved. But it was too late. The misinformation spread like wildfire, and it was too much for me to contain. It even reached my best friend. I couldn't do anything. I just broke down and cried my eyes out until it was time to go back inside. I felt betrayed by my peers. All because someone caught the tail end of a conversation and took that as the truth. Gossip and the spread of misinformation hurts. It is a rough subject that, given the current political climate, has more poignance now than ever in the past. After all the damage the Cutie Mark Crusaders did, there was only one thing they needed to do. Something that I felt never happened when I was 10 years old in the 5th grade. Apologize and admit fault. And they did just that. When the girls' backs were against the wall, they handled their final piece in the school paper as professionally and adult as possible. This is why I hold this episode in high regard. It was the moment I trusted the show in dealing with sensitive topics like gossip or addiction. It was the first episode that made me cry. Ponyville Confidential will remain my most personal episode. I'm the voice of reason, and I'll see you guys at BronyCon.